Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for today's Lunch with Haley. My name is Brad Smith. I'm the Director of SEO and Social Media here at Haley Marketing Group, and today I'm going to be talking with you about search engine optimization in 2017. Now, before we jump in, just a few housekeeping items. We do have our full team of SEO and social media experts out there on Twitter ready to answer any questions that you have. So if something isn't clear on the webinar today or you have a question after the fact, please feel free to use the hashtag #LunchWithHaley, ask questions, get answers, post comments. You can engage with other people there, but we do have our team actively monitoring that and responding to any questions you might have. If you do have a question that you'd like me to address during the webinar, please feel free to use the question panel, ask those questions. I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can, try to leave some time at the end for question and answers, and I'll stay on the line afterwards too and try to answer as many questions as we do have. In today's webinar, we are going to be talking about the basics of search engine optimization. We're going to get into some more technical details, and then we're also going to highlight 4 or 5 different things that you should really focus on in 2017. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about what SEO is, why it matters. I'm going to do a comparison between old school SEO and new school SEO. And the reason why this is important is within the last 12 months alone, Google has released up to and maybe even more than 15 algorithm updates. So things are constantly changing. So when I say old school, I'm not even talking 10 years ago, I'm talking maybe a year ago versus what's going on today. We'll look at Google RankBrain, what that is and how it impacts search. We'll give you some specific action takeaways. We'll outline what you can do to gauge results. So is your SEO effective? Are you getting results? We'll tell you what to look at there. We'll walk through what not to do, and then again go through some key takeaways that you can take with you and implement on your site to hopefully improve your search engine traffic. Now, real quick, when I talk about SEO or search engine optimization, a lot of times people get confused. When they talk about SEO, oftentimes people say, well, I want to be #1 in Google for staffing. Okay, that's not SEO. So your goal of search engine optimization shouldn't be to rank #1 for any given search term. What your goal should be is to get targeted traffic back to your website from search engines and from people that are using terms that describe the services you offer. So you can rank #1 for a term. If nobody uses that term, it adds no value. You can rank #1, and if a lot of people use that term and you're still getting no traffic, it adds no value. Okay, that's not effective SEO. So get away from looking purely at rankings. Look at traffic actually coming to your site. That's what you want people to do. To put it into perspective, if 1,000 people look at one of your job posts but you get 0 applications, does that 1,000 people looking at that mean anything? No. Okay, you need to get people to take action, and with SEO, the action that we're getting them to take is not only seeing you in search results, but clicking on your listing in search results. That's the true goal of SEO. So why should you care? Well, quite simply, people are out there looking for the services that you offer. If they don't know you by name and you don't rank well and show up in search results and aren't visible, they're never going to find you. So this one term, staffing agencies, and a few ancillary terms, is getting anywhere between 1 million and 10 million searches a month. Okay, people are out there looking for what you offer. You need to do things on your website to make sure that you're more visible and you get your fair share of that overall traffic. Here's another reason why you should care. A lot of people say, well, you know, I have an AdWords campaign, so I'm paying for search rankings and I don't really care about organic SEO. Well, you should, because 88% of clicks are happening on organic search results. Only 12% are happening on those paid search results. Okay, so I'm not saying that paid and AdWords isn't effective. It is. But what I'm saying here is that you need to pair that with a very strong organic SEO strategy to make sure that you show up in those organic results as well. So let's get into old school versus new school, and I'll kind of go down the list here. A few years ago, people would focus on a singular keyword. Again, they would focus on a term like staffing agencies in their market or employment agencies. And they would incorporate that one single term in several places throughout the page or several places throughout their site. And in doing so, having that listed several times, they could rank well. Well, Google's gotten smarter, and we'll introduce their AI learning here in a little bit. But really, what Google's looking for in new school SEO is engagement and user intent focusedness. So again, it's not focused on a single keyword, it's focused on many different keywords that relate to that single keyword. And we'll dig into what I mean by that in a little bit of time here. Old school SEO, again, was ranking focused. You're focused on maybe 5, 10, 20 different keyword terms. Now we're much more focused on return on investment, and we're conversion focused. We want to get that traffic back to our website from search, and we want them to take the next step to apply for a job or to fill out a job order form. It's conversion focused. Content in the past was created only for search engines. So a lot of SEOs and web programmers would go through and create content that was really oftentimes only visible to the search engine and kind of hidden in the site, and it was purely SEO focused. That no longer works. You need to create optimized content that's created for humans. Google is using semantic search right now. So if you're just stuffing in keyword after keyword after keyword, it's not going to work as well as organic content that's created around a specific topic. Keyword stuffing doesn't work anymore. You need to be tasteful with where you incorporate those keywords and incorporate a variety of different keywords. In the past, backlinks, the quantity of your backlinks really mattered. So if you had 10,000 backlinks, regardless of where they were from, that was a nice ranking factor for you. Now, Google's gotten much smarter over the last few years, and they've said, hey, people are just out there buying mass quantities of backlinks, and they're trying to fool our algorithm. So now they're looking at the quality of those backlinks. So are quality, well-respected websites linking back to your site? If they are, terrific. That's an amazing ranking signal. If they're not, you need to build in a plan to build those backlinks, and we'll share some ideas there. In the past, website design wasn't necessarily overly important, and this is going back several years, but today, your website design is critical. You need to make sure that you have a mobile-friendly site. You need to make sure that it's fast, it's responsive, it's built in the right way, it's coded in the right way. There's not a ton of extraneous code, because if you don't, it's going to take a long time to load. Google's not going to index it, and users are going to leave. Very, very important to have a well-designed and built and programmed site. In the past, high-quality, unique content was in some cases optional. And the reason for that was because all these other things above used to work. You used to be able to keyword stuff. You used to add a few keywords to a few key pages and you could rank well. It's not the case anymore. Okay, Google's much smarter now. They're not fooled by things that SEOs and programmers do. You need to have a plan for high-quality, unique content. If you want to rank well, you need good quality content and content that people are going to want to link to. There are over 200 different ranking factors that Google looks at in their algorithm. And within those 200, there's variations of those. So some people estimate that there's over 10,000 different ranking signals that Google looks at when trying to determine whether your site should rank well or not. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to highlight some of the biggies here. First and foremost, you need to have a strong domain. It needs to be authoritative. You need to look for domain length. You don't want a super long domain. You need to make sure that the domain has trust. You need to make sure that you're not spamming and doing email spam from that domain. So Google looks at all those things to determine if you're trustworthy and if you're worth ranking in their search results. On page, very, very important. We need to do the basics like have meta page titles and meta page descriptions. I'll show you examples of those in a minute here. You need to make sure that the keywords that you want to rank well for are in your heading tags and in your content. You're using variations of those keywords. You need to look at adding some rich media to your sites. Are you using graphics? Are you using infographics? Are you using video? All of those things can help. Links, critically important. Links and content are ranked number 1 and number 2 interchangeably in importance in ranking factor. You want to rank well, you need to build more inbound links. Experience, you need to make sure that the user experience is a good one. So we need to make sure that when we do rank for a specific keyword and people are getting to our site, they're staying on our site. We need to make sure that our bounce rate isn't huge, that we have easy navigation, that there's simple page layouts, the site's responsive, it's mobile friendly. All of those things matter. Social media, we need to look at social likes. How many people are engaging with your content? How many people share your content? How many people are leaving you online reviews? Are they leaving you quality reviews? All of these things matter when Google is looking at your relevancy score and looking at whether or not you should rank well. So let's dig into some more of these. But before we do, just wanted to highlight one more important ranking signal. It's called RankBrain. So I mentioned earlier, links are critically important, content on your site is critically important, and Google, as part of their algorithm, has something called RankBrain. It's their machine learning or artificial intelligence system that they're using to process results. I saw some statistics that each day there's 1.4, I believe it was, million brand new unique human-entered searches that Google has never seen before. And over time, that number will come down, but that's nothing that humans could possibly process on their own. So Google's turned to artificial learning. So what they do offline is they take past search results, they run it through Google RankBrain, see what their results look like, and then if the results look trustworthy, then they roll it out to Google's algorithm. So RankBrain is their machine learning that's taking all of what we enter into Google, running on the back end and doing some analysis to try to improve Google's search results over time. And what RankBrain is looking for is good quality content. So do you provide content that answers the searcher's search queries? That's the key to SEO right there. If you can answer the searcher's search query, if you can provide an answer to their question, over time you will rank well. All right, so you're probably all thinking right now, boy, 10,000 ranking signals. You're talking about RankBrain, artificial learning. There's a little bit of a data overload, and there really is. Again, SEO just in the past year has changed dramatically. There's been 15 or more algorithm updates. It can get overwhelming. What I'm going to try to do here is break it down into key areas where you can really focus. Now, I'm not going to get overly technical, and if you want overly technical, there's some great sites out there that'll get into programming and things like that. But for this audience, what I'm going to do is highlight the most important factors that you can control and work with your programming team to control. First and foremost is looking at keyword research. So before you do anything in terms of search engine optimization or even content marketing, do your research because all keywords and all search strings aren't created equally. And here's a perfect example. At Haley Marketing Group, we're headquartered in Buffalo, New York. So I did a real quick search. And I looked at Buffalo, New York jobs, jobs in Buffalo, New York, Buffalo jobs. You might be saying to yourself, boy, these search queries are all very similar. They probably return all of the exact same results. And I will tell you that they don't. All of these results serve up things that are slightly different, okay? And if you in your market search for jobs in Buffalo, New York, the results are going to be a little bit different than when I search it here in Buffalo, New York. So what I'm getting at here is that it's very important, again, to do your research to see what terms people are using most frequently and what terms have the lowest level of competition. And if you look at this list here, the difference between somebody typing in Buffalo, New York jobs and jobs in Buffalo, New York is dramatically different. 5,400 searches per month compared to 1,300 searches per month. Which term are you going to try to optimize your site for? Probably the top one, jobs in Buffalo, New York. But I want to look at the second line there, Buffalo jobs. Has lower level of average monthly searches, but the competition is lower. We have a better likelihood of ranking well for Buffalo jobs more quickly. So in my SEO strategy, I'm going to start off by trying to rank well for Buffalo jobs and trying to drive that traffic to my site. Once I do that, then I'm going to move on to a little bit more competitive term like jobs in Buffalo, New York. You need to do this keyword research before you really get into your SEO plan so that you can make sure that you're optimizing things correctly for the right terms. All right, for your keyword research, when you're doing this, what I want you to do is make sure that your keywords are buyer keywords with some commercial value. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. We do a lot of work with recruiting companies. Let's say you're doing management recruiting, and you say, hey, I want to rank well for the term management. Okay, well, management is way too general. There's no buyer focus there. There's no commercial value for just ranking well for a term like management. Okay, so instead of management, maybe we look at a term like management recruiters, management recruitment, recruiters in the management sector. Look at all of those different terms to identify a keyword that has buyer intent. Search for those keywords once you do refine that in Google, and try it in Bing and Yahoo as well. And what I want you to do is look at the competition there. Look at the top 10 results, look at the top 15 results, and see who your competition is. Also in Google, if you go down to the bottom of the page, you'll see a section called related keywords. So if you single out a term or a group of terms that you want to rank well for, scroll all the way to the bottom, grab those related keywords as well. That's going into Google's RankBrain to try to figure out what searchers' intent is. So your goal is to have that main keyword that you're going to try to rank well for, but then look for ways to mix in all of those other related keywords into your site content. You need to, again, have a site that includes semantic keywords and improves your semantic search over time. Also, in those top 10 results, I want you to look at who the competitors are. Very important here. If you're competing with extremely authoritative websites like Monster, Indeed, Career Builder, government sites, .edu sites, you may want to choose a different keyword to target. And what do I mean by that? A lot of times we'll get a client who says, well, I want to rank well for a blanket term like jobs. And I'm going to tell you it's never going to happen. Okay, Indeed's got that nailed down. They have millions upon millions of jobs on their site, millions and millions of pages that are optimized on their site. You're not going to unseat them. So look at your competition before you finalize your keyword strategy and make sure that you've picked words that aren't so competitive that you'll never drive traffic. And then the last thing you want to do is look at keyword and choose keywords that are relevant to the page that you're trying to optimize. And what I mean by that is you wouldn't optimize a job seeker page for executive recruiters for a specific industry. You may optimize it for a term like employment agencies or jobs near me or something like that. You need to pick terms that you're going to try to rank well for that relate to the content on that page. If you just keyword stuff terms on a given page and none of the other content supports those keywords, Google's smart enough to realize that, and over time you're not going to rank well. I mentioned earlier your domain is an important ranking signal. What you want to do is pick a good domain and stick with it. All too often I see companies continually changing their domain name. What you're doing there is losing domain authority. So if you buy a brand new domain because it's catchy and it sounds great, you're starting off with no authority there, and you might be leaving a domain that has a ton of authority, a ton of history, a ton of relevancy in the eyes of Google. So pick a domain and stick with it if you can. And then also register your domain for an extended period of time. Often we see companies that'll register their domain for a year, maybe 2 years. And one little ranking factor that Google looks at is how long is your domain registered for? If you're only registering a domain for 1 or 2 years, that might be a signal to Google that in 2 years you're not going to be around. Instead, if you register that out for 5 or 10 years, it's a small little signal to Google that, hey, this company's going to be around for a while. So it can be, again, an important small little ranking signal. We personally here like to stick with the .com instead of .net or .biz or .jobs. Google won't come out and say that the .coms have more authority, but if you do a simple search for just about anything, most of the results are going to display .coms. Periodically, there'll be a .net that sneaks in there, but oftentimes you won't see all of those other niche domains show up. Perfect example, we had a physical therapy company that bought their domain name, their company name, with a .pt. And they wanted to change their root domain to their company name .pt. They thought that stood for physical therapy. Well, really it doesn't. It's the country extension for Portugal. So doing that would have had a huge negative impact on their overall search rankings. So try to stick with the .com if you can. And then another question I constantly get is, hey, if I buy a lot of different domains and just point that, redirect those to my main website, that'll help, right? That's building more inbound links? Absolutely not. So simply owning a domain and repointing that to your root domain adds no value at all. Google is looking at all of those domains as individual sites. If that individual site has zero content and all it is a redirect, it's not going to help you at all. Don't get too carried away with long domains, but what you do want to do is include keywords in the URLs of your pages. So look through your website right now, go to your employers page, okay, see what that says. Oftentimes, one mistake I see is a company will have xyzstaffing.com/services. Okay, that doesn't tell Google anything about what's on that page. It tells Google that that page is about services. Okay, use that URL as an opportunity to get the keyword that you want to rank well for and drive traffic for there. So in this example, we've added in staffing agencies Tulsa. This might be for a staffing company in Tulsa, and we want to rank well on their services page for staffing agencies Tulsa. So look at your URLs after the call, after the webinar today, and make sure that you include keywords in those URLs. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you include keywords and terms in your title tags, your metadata. It's part of the code on your web page, and each page in your site should have its own unique meta page title. And here's an example. Staffing Agencies OKC. Did some keyword research for this company, found that that is a term that had a high level of search volume at the time and low levels of competition. We've included that in their URL. Okay, we've gotten that early in the URL. You'll see that their company name is pushed off to the right a little bit because Staffing Agencies OKC was more important. Again, each page of your website should have its own unique title, and you need to keep this around 50 to 60 characters in length. You can get up to 70. After that, it'll be truncated with a ... and not add value. But think about what you want to rank well for and include that. Now, we did have a few questions that came in. We have a name that people commonly misspell. Should we go and buy those? I wouldn't necessarily go and buy those, but what you might want to do is create a page under your About Us section that lists all of those misspellings, and you can have some fun with that. So again, that creates a page on your website that's optimized for all those misspellings. You can have a little bit of fun with it and drive people to your website. Great question. All right. Again, each page in your website should have unique title tags. Those title tags should relate to the content on that individual page. So each page in your site gives you an opportunity to rank well for a different term and to drive traffic to your website for different terms. So use those. On your employee and on your job seeker page, you want to use a term like employment agencies. Okay, terms that a candidate would be using. Maybe it's temp agencies, maybe it's job placement agencies in your market. Do that keyword research, find out what it is, and use that term. Okay, but on the client side, it's probably more along the lines of something like staffing services or temp staffing agencies instead of employment. Okay, so think about user intent, think about the audience that you're trying to target for that page of your website, and optimize for terms that they would use. Next, under the meta page title in search results, you'll see that little paragraph of text that tells the user what that page is about. It's called your meta page description. You need to keep your meta page description to about 150, 160 characters, and you want to think of this as your call to action. What can you say in that short sentence or two that's actually going to get people to click on your link? Okay, you don't want to just keyword stuff this. You want to think about what would get people to take action. In this example, we are mixing in a term that, that we want to drive traffic from. So here we say staffing agencies in San Diego. We've identified that as a term we want to rank well for. And then we get into a little bit more detail. Okay, so try to think about what you can do to include a keyword there without sounding too overt, but then also encourage people to click through and click on your entry. If you can increase your click-through rate, so more people are clicking when you rank in Google, that's a signal to Google that you're more relevant for that keyword. You'll get more future clicks. Next, on each individual page of your site, on the copy, we want to make sure that it's coded correctly. We want to make sure we have things called H tags or heading tags and mix keywords into those heading tags. This is kind of like, you could think of it as an outline. So Google's looking at your page and they're looking at those heading tags, and heading tags are the top sections in your outline. So if you have good quality keywords in there, Google will know exactly what that page on your website is about when it screens and indexes your content. So incorporate the keywords that are going to drive really relevant traffic into headings on pages, subheadings, and closing paragraph titles. And then you want to get keywords and some related keywords into the page content and body copy. Okay, if you don't have those terms and related terms in that body copy, you may not rank well. So go back through your website and look for ways to organically mix those in. You don't want to be overt, you don't want to write just for the search engine, but look for opportunities to include those key terms and related terms on your page. All right, so those things that I just highlighted, meta page titles, keyword research, headings, and things like that, that used to be enough to get your site ranked pretty well. Now, today, it's really just table stakes. It kind of just gets you in the game. Those are things that you just need by default now. But even doing those doesn't guarantee that you're going to rank well in Google's eyes. So we need to get a little bit more strategic. So what do we do? Well, I've mentioned the term semantic keywords a little bit, and here's really what I mean by that. You have your main keyword phrase. In this example, we use the White House. Okay, so the White House, some related keywords might be president, Washington, government, and then from there, there's secondary keywords. So you see here that, yeah, over on the left-hand side, we may one of our core focuses might be White House, but we also need to incorporate on the page president, Washington, government, and then probably some secondary related keywords as well. So that's really what they mean by semantic keywords. And this is where RankBrain from Google really comes into play. So RankBrain is going through and looking for all of these related keywords, secondary related keywords, all of these, this semantic text to try to figure out what pages on the internet provide the most relevant answers to a searcher's queries. Okay, so if you begin to build out your site with this great content that is not just keyword stuffed, but has a keyword focus and then supported by a lot of other copy, content, text, answers, related keywords, that's truly how you rank well. Okay, it comes down to content and related keywords and getting those in your site consistently. Which brings us to our next slide, which is update your content frequently. Okay, this is a huge, huge factor. Google came out way back, you see the date on this post, in 2011. And they said search results are best when they are fresh. Google changed their indexing system to display fresh content more frequently, and some old algorithm updates changed about 35% of their indexing. Okay, this was back in 2011. Since that time, Google has released hundreds of algorithm updates. Many of them not all, but many of them are focused around good quality content. Okay, so they're looking at the overall quality of your content, whether your content is adding value or is just put there for SEO purposes. They're looking at how many other sites out there link back to your content. What it boils down to is you need to provide fresh, relevant content that answers searchers' search queries. It's a mouthful, but update your content is what we're getting at. You need to make sure that you have an ongoing content plan. So again, Google rewards websites that have fresh and relevant content. You should have a long-term content plan based on specific goals. So think about what goals you have for your business. In a tight recruiting market, many of our clients right now are looking for any edge that they can get in recruitment. So over the last year, we've been building out content that relates to employment, that relates to getting ahead in your career, that relates to salary, that relates to job hopping or changing careers. Okay, so we've been building up these libraries of content that are focused on user search queries and are driving and attracting traffic back to their website so that they have more of an influx in candidates. Think about what your goals are. Mix that into your long-term content strategy. And ongoing SEO and content creation, it can be a challenge. You do need to devote resources to it, but it can be a huge asset over time. It's the way to get more people into your sales and recruiting funnel. Okay, as you begin to build this huge library of content with related keywords, you're going to get traffic volume from a lot of varying different keywords. Those people are going to get into your site and can move further down your sales and recruiting funnel. It's going to help you over time, and if you're not doing it now, I suggest that you put together an ongoing content plan and get started immediately. I mentioned earlier that Google is looking for different types of content. So they're looking for rich content like video. Google owns YouTube. YouTube, if you look at it, is the second most used search engine in the world behind Google. So look for ways to add some video content, video testimonials, video articles, get those up on YouTube, embed that content into your site, into blog posts and things like that. Use video, photos, infographics, get all of this content on your site. Rich media helps. Next, I want to switch our focus over a little bit to link building. So I mentioned earlier, content is one of the keys. Link building is another key. Backlinks are a core part of Google's algorithm. Google won't come out and say whether links are more important or content's more important. They rank them as one and two, but those are the two key components of a good SEO strategy. Building great content, building more inbound links. They go hand in hand. As you create more quality content, more people are going to want to share and link back to that content. Not all backlinks are created equally, like we mentioned earlier. There's low quality backlinks out there from irrelevant sites. You may get inundated with, and I'm sure you do, people that are emailing you or filling out your contact form and saying, hey, we offer link building services, or we offer great SEO services. We'll get you 1,000 inbound links by snapping our fingers. What's going to happen is they're going to get you bad quality inbound links. And if you get a lot of links from bad sources, from websites that Google deems as not trustworthy, it's actually going to hurt your rank, not help your rank. So you need to pay attention to your backlink profile and make sure that you don't have low quality sites, and instead you have high quality, authoritative and niche relevant sites. And custom content creation, still probably the most effective approach to building legitimate, really good quality links. If you create good content, people are going to want to share it. More quality inbound links, again, equals more opportunity to gain traffic. And here's an example here that shows you as we're getting more quality inbound links, traffic continues to go up. So more reputable links give, in the eyes of Google and Bing and Yahoo, gives your site credibility. One thing that I'm going to caution you not to do, and please don't do this, don't buy or sell links. Google hates it. They will catch up with it eventually. So if you buy and sell links, you're going to lose trust in Google, in the eyes of Google, and the consequences can be dramatic. Don't go out there and buy links. The text within a link, something called anchor text, is actually important. So when whether you're doing inter-site links, so you're linking from one page of your website to another, or you're getting links from other sources, the terms that they use in that link can be important. So as an example, here I've included two samples. There's a very general anchor link that says, click here to learn more about our IT recruiting services. Okay, that's fine. You're linking to another page on your site. But when Google looks at this, they say, okay, this page that we're linking to is about click here. Okay, so that's not what your page is about. Your page is about IT recruitment or IT recruiters. So mix those terms into your link. So instead of having the words click here be the link, change that around. Like the second example, learn more about our IT recruiters in Dallas and beyond. Okay, we want to drive traffic from people that are searching for IT recruiters in Dallas. So let's use that in our links. Okay, include, and just a key takeaway here, on every single page of your website, at the bottom of your page, you should have a link like that, either linking to another page in your site or open job opportunities, your contact form. Think about what the purpose of that individual page is, what action you want people to take next, okay, and include that in a call to action on the bottom of every single page in your site. You'll see dramatic improvements in results and conversions. I get the question all the time, okay, how do I actually build inbound links? If I can't buy them, where do I get them? Well, Google has come out, and on their webmaster blog, they've even stated the #1 tip for building more inbound links is to start blogging. Get a blog up on your site, get a resources section up on your site, start adding really good quality content. Once you create that content, share that content across all social media outlets. The more people that you get that in front of, the more people they'll engage and will share that content. That's how you create more inbound links back to your site. Here are a few more ideas. Create press releases for newsworthy information like awards, new hires, promotions. Send those out to local publications, trade publications. You can use paid PR distribution services that will send that press release out to PR newswires and AP newswires, and we'll get that content in front of more and more people. The nice thing about using those services is that they already have relationships with many of the local business journals, and they'll pull in a feed of that content. So it's an interesting way to get your message in front of more people, and you can embed links in many of them. If you're having career fairs or open houses, submit those to local newspapers or TV stations. Oftentimes, if you go and look at their site, they'll have a submit an event link. Okay, you can easily submit an event, link back to your website. That creates an inbound link from a news source, from a newspaper, a TV station, very relevant, high quality inbound link back to your site. I do this for our own site, and very, very effective. A great way to build more inbound links. I mentioned it already, but share content on social networks, post content in LinkedIn Pulse and LinkedIn groups, share it on Facebook, get your content in front of as many people as possible. You could go out and provide testimonials to vendors and just say, hey, I want to write a great testimonial for you can use on your site. And then if you don't mind, just link back to me. We'd be happy to do that for our clients. Great way to build more inbound links. Claim all your social and local listings. We'll get into that a little bit. Ask industry organizations to list you on your sites. If you're a member of chambers of commerce or other areas, make sure you have a listing on their site. Look at local colleges and university career offices. Local colleges are in the business of getting more students. They can get more students if more of their former students are gainfully employed and have strong employment histories right out of college. So you have something that all college offices want, job opportunities for their graduates. Form a relationship with those in placement offices. Get your jobs up on their site. Get a link back to your job board from their site. And then you can look at guest blogging for quality, niche relevant news sites. I'll give you a personal example here. Staffing Industry Analysts has a great blog out there called The Staffing Stream. all dedicated to staffing and recruiting professionals. We ghostwrite, not ghostwrite, we write content that gets republished on Staffing Stream. Great way to build an inbound link. Also great way to drive very relevant traffic back to our site and get our name, our content, our thought leadership in front of the exact right audience. Look for those in your market and in your industry. We're going to shift a little bit. We're going to talk about user experience. So user experience is becoming a big factor, and it's tied to Google RankBrain. Google's looking at overall user experience when somebody gets to your site, and they're taking that into consideration. What do I mean by this? If somebody comes to your website from a search result, they stay on your website for 2 seconds and then bounce back to Google and search for something else, that tells Google that you're not relevant for that search term. You need to get people to your site and get them to other pages quickly and get them to the content that they're searching for quickly. Otherwise, they're going to leave your site. It's going to tell Google you shouldn't rank well. So what can you do? Consider large format drop-down navigation. Here's a perfect example. This company, Marquee Staffing, has several different specialty areas. They do accounting, administrative, banking, customer service. Instead of including all of that on one service page, they've broken it up into individual pages that allows them to rank well for each industry segment. But it also gives the user quick access to those pages. They don't have to search all around. They can click specialties, they can see exactly where they need to go, and they can get deeper into your site. They're not bouncing back. So think about ways that you can improve your navigation and make it easier for the user. Make it simple, make it easy. Throughout the page of your site, in the copy area, use headlines. Use keywords in those headlines. Use bullets, numbered lists. Don't have a page of content that's a mile long. Break things up. All of that can provide a better user experience and can help with SEO in the long run. Also, use a good, reputable host. Page load speed is a ranking factor. So if you use a host that is burdened, that isn't serving content up quickly, your page and your site is going to take forever to load, and it's going to say to Google and the other search engines that, hey, maybe you shouldn't rank well. So if you have videos on your site, don't host them natively. Get those over to YouTube or Vimeo and use embed codes. Use a host with speedy servers, quick response times. Make sure that your site is programmed cleanly. Use something called a caching or a content delivery network to speed up load time. If you're not sure what a CDN or a content delivery network is, Google it. Basically, it's a network of different servers that house and cache your website files so that people going to your website don't have to go halfway across the globe to have your files served up. Maybe they just go to the town next door, and it speeds up your load time. Question and ask your site about uptime and downtime. Choose a good content management platform and keep your plugins up to date. Internally here at Haley Marketing Group, we program pretty much exclusively on WordPress. We make sure that WordPress is optimized to the newest version. It fixes security issues. We keep plugins up to date. Make sure that your host does that. Okay, hosting is more than just keeping your files on a server somewhere. It's keeping all those things up to date and current. Host your DNS with a reputable registrar like GoDaddy, Network Solutions, Register. Somewhere else that's reputable. There's a lot of companies out there that offer, domain names for 50 cents or $1. Well, oftentimes that DNS isn't as reputable as GoDaddy or Network Solutions. So spend just a little bit more money and go to these other places. Use a host with redundancy built throughout their infrastructure. So if something happens to one server, you don't go down. Don't host internally. So hopefully a lot of companies aren't doing that anymore, but get that up in the cloud. Have your site hosted where there is redundancy so you can limit downtime. And then make sure your website is fast. So just some interesting statistics here. 47% of people expect your site to load in 2 seconds or less. And for each second delay in response time, we've seen a huge decrease in conversions. And some places say that 40% of people will abandon a site if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. Okay, so go out there and test your website speed. There's some ways that you can improve your speed. So make sure that you have, again, good, fast web hosting. Make sure that you have proper caching implemented. Make sure that you're minifying JavaScript and CSS files. Use that content delivery network. Make sure that your images are compressed appropriately, so don't use an image that's 10 megs on your homepage and takes forever to load. It's going to slow down load time and just isn't the right way to do things. And then make sure that you use clean code and lightweight plugins. And I also encourage you, Google has a site speed tester out there. You can just type in Google Site Speed Tester. It'll come up. After the call, plug your domain in there, see what comes back. Make sure that your site is fast. It'll give you ideas and suggestions for how to improve speed. Take some time. But also, don't get too concerned when Google reports back that you don't have a score of 100 out of 100. There's very few sites out there that do, but shoot to get over 70. Okay, see what you can do to improve your overall speed. All right, also tied to user experience, and I briefly mentioned it earlier, is something called bounce rate. So what a bounce is when somebody comes to your website and leaves right away without going to any other pages in your site. That's deemed a bounce. And that is a signal to Google, Bing, and Yahoo that your site isn't relevant for that user. So again, if Google is sending people to your site and they're bouncing, they're leaving right away and going back to search results, Google's going to have to refine their search results because obviously you didn't answer the user's search query. So why in the world should you continue to rank for that search query? So look at your bounce rate site-wide. Look for ways to get that down. Look for the pages on your site that have very high bounce rates. Adjust your content, adjust your calls to action, tweak things. The average we see across the industry is about a 65% bounce rate. Get that down to 50% or much lower. So a low bounce rate is a nice signal to Google. Look at your average visit duration time. The longer the visit duration, the more time people are spending on your site. It's a ranking signal. What can you do to increase that? Well, you can have easier drop-down navigation to get people deeper into your site. You can provide better content on your site. Look at your pages per visit. The average we see across the industry is only about 1.5. Shoot for over 3, and you do this by having better calls to action at the end of every page, providing more detailed information for people, giving people a reason to go to more pages. So on your job board, do you have related jobs? Do you have a plethora of different content? Are you providing value-added content in the form of blogs? At the bottom of your blog, are you providing related content? So think about all these things to get people to go to more pages on your site. And then also, I suggest that you install something called Google Webmaster Tools. It's free to set up, free to install, but this is going to give you some real insight into what different search queries you're ranking well for. And what I encourage you to do is look at the last two columns here. CTR stands for click-through rate, and average position is your average search rank. And what you need to do is look for terms in which you rank between 1 and 5, and look at your click-through rate. Okay, if you're under 10%, look at the page that's ranking well and look for ways that you can improve that. So it might be adjusting meta page titles, it might be adjusting your meta page description, but if you can drive that click-through rate up higher, it's a signal to Google that you should rank even higher. Okay, and the other thing that I want you to do is look for opportunities to jump from average position of 5 to 15 to maybe 1 to 5. So sort this by average position. Again, look for keywords and terms that you rank in that 5 to 15 range and invest some content resources or some blog posts. Add more content to your site using those terms. You'll improve rank in those areas and in turn drive much more traffic, targeted traffic, to your website. Next, I want you to make sure that you're optimizing for mobile. So is your site mobile optimized? The world's made a huge rapid shift over to mobile, and so has Google. So more searches are conducted on mobile devices now than on desktop. So make sure that your website is mobile optimized. And check your job board. Make sure that your job board is mobile optimized. Many out there aren't. And when I say mobile optimized, really what I'm getting at is your website responsive? So in the past, mobile websites sometimes were separate than desktop sites, so they're kind of two separate sites. Now, the way to really design is using responsive design. So it allows on-page elements to adjust to fit different devices, different phones, iPads, screens, and everything. So responsive design is really Google's preferred website design methodology. Look for ways to speed up your mobile loading speed. One of those ways is something called AMP, Accelerated Mobile Pages, something newer that Google rolled out, but basically it's stripping out things that take a long time to load on mobile pages and serving up a very streamlined mobile page. Google has made a shift to a mobile-first index, so sites that take advantage of some AMP may see a bit of a boost in search rankings. So explore that a little bit more. Also, security is important. Way back in 2014, Google started encouraging webmasters to use SSL encryption across their site. In 2016, they got a little bit more stringent about it, but basically what you do want to do is make sure that your website is secure. So when you go to your site, look for HTTPS. If you don't have it, you may want to inquire about SSL encryption on your site. It's buying an SSL certificate and using a host that can support that. So it's something you may want to look at. Social media is important. I'm not going to dig too deep into this. We have entire webinars dedicated to social media, but really Bing, Google, Yahoo have come out and they've said if you're not engaged socially, you're missing the boat, because it's a nice ranking signal for us. So create good quality content, share that content on social media. You're going to want to use your blog as your content hub. So add all this great content to your blog, then share that content out through LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, create slide shares out of it. Use social to get your content in front of more people and link back to your site so you can get people back there. Make it easy to interact with your content socially too. So incorporate social share buttons. And this particular post, we did an infographic on mobile trends. This is a post that's probably a year and a half old, maybe 2 years. It's got 400 or 500 social shares now, and we're still getting traffic to that post, and people are still engaging with it socially. It's helped us improve rank over time. Another part of social media is going out there and claiming your Google Plus business listing. If you haven't done this yet, this is really kind of how you get on that map. I get that question all the time. How do I get on the map? Well, it starts by going to google.com/business. Verify that you own that domain, update your profile, and then encourage people to leave online reviews for you. Also, kind of tied in, to Google listings, there are a ton of other websites out there that have listings. Facebook, Indeed, Glassdoor, Bing, Yelp, CitySearch, Yellow Pages. They all have address listings and web address listings out there. Even if you didn't create the listing, they've gone and pulled that information. What you need to do is go out and make sure that all those listings are accurate and they're consistent. So go out and look at major citation sites, and we just updated a blog post on our blog at haleymarketing.com that has some of the top online business directory sites that you should look at, but make sure that your company name, address, phone number, website address are all consistent across the board. Even little things like abbreviating street instead of spelling out street can be a ranking signal. So go and make sure that your directory listings across the board are consistent. If you've moved, an office or a location has moved, you want to make sure that that's updated too. There are services out there that will help you do this because it can be tough to go through 20 or 100 sites out there. Some of these searches are Yext.com, Moz.com, Google Business, and then Neustar Localese is also one that's very cost effective that will help go out and verify all these listings and make sure that they're consistent for you. All right, we've gone through a lot. So one of the most important things is to measure your success. Again, the goal of SEO isn't to rank #1 for a term, okay? If somebody reaches out to you and they promise you X number of first page Google rankings, run the other way. That's not the goal of SEO. The goal of SEO is to get targeted traffic to your site that then converts. Okay, that's SEO. So look for ways to increase that targeted traffic to your site. We want to see consistent climbs in search engine traffic, kind of like the stock market. You're going to see peaks and valleys, you're going to see ups and downs, you're going to see seasonal fluctuations, but over time we want this consistent climb. How do you do it? You have a user-friendly mobile site. You optimize it for search engines using the strategies that we discussed today. You make it fast, easy to navigate, make it more engaging. Blog regularly so there's a reason for people to come back, and then share content on social media. Another thing that you want to look at is your conversion rate. Okay, so think about the actions you want people to take on each page of your site and make it easy for them to do those actions. So if you do blog, make it easy for them to jump over to your job board and apply for a position. Make it easy for them to submit a work order. Okay, think about the things that you want them to do, and then in Google Analytics, you can set up goals to monitor your conversion rates. Our next Lunch with Haley next month is going to be all about Google Analytics and marketing analytics, and digging deeper into what you should be looking at and adjusting on your site to drive even more ROI, and we'll get into some more detail on this topic there. Overall, though, some key metrics I always look at to judge the effectiveness of our SEO efforts. Number one, overall site traffic. Are we continuing to get more and more site traffic? I then take a look at traffic sources. Where is that traffic coming from? Is it other referring sites? Are we building more inbound links? Is it search results? Is it social media? So look at those traffic sources. Okay, I look at bounce rate. I look at this on an overall site level and on an individual page level. Okay, so look throughout your site, look for pages that have high bounce rates, and look for ways to lower that bounce rate using strong calls to action or adding more value on that page. I look at time on site, pages viewed. I look at location of visitors, and this is important because if you're getting traffic from around the globe and you're a local staffing agency, something's wrong there. So really you want to look at the location of the person that's getting to your site. Make sure that it is relevant for the service area that you service. Look at your most popular content on your site. What pages are most popular? What articles are most popular? What blogs are most popular? Then do more of that stuff. Okay, if you can find out what your most popular content is, repeat that into your content strategy. Look for spikes in traffic. So is there some marketing activity that you did that drove a ton of traffic? And then monitor conversions. And again, next month's Lunch with Haley will get into those conversions. A few don'ts. Don't buy backlinks. Don't buy fake followers or fake reviews. Don't buy huge, large quantities of citations. Don't over-optimize or keyword stuff your pages. It doesn't work anymore. Don't sacrifice quality for quantity when blogging. And what I mean by that is write good quality posts. Don't just flood your site with lower quality content. Don't buy extra domains or focus on redirects or all those other things. I know it can sound appealing to get a very catchy URL, but if you're doing that for the purposes of search engine optimization, it's not going to help. Don't forget about social media. So use social as your tool as an advantage, and don't stop updating. It's very important to continually update your site. So real quick, I'm going to highlight the 7 most effective SEO tactics for 2017. We've highlighted all these already in the presentation, but I'm going to give you some takeaways. So number 1, add content to your site. Add a blog to your site. Make sure that your site has a job board that resides on your website, not a different URL. So go look at it. If it's not on your domain, if it's somewhere else, it's not adding SEO value. Number 1 most traffic section of every staffing website is a job board. Get more inbound links. Again, we shared some tips for that. Press releases, career fairs, testimonials, claiming local listings. Do all of these things to build more quality inbound links back to your site. Optimize your job board. Look at your job board. Make sure that every job is optimized, has a unique page title, unique URL, meta description, all of those things that we highlighted at the beginning of the presentation. If your job board doesn't do that, look for one that does. Cheap plug, ours does all these things. So if you're lacking in job SEO, be sure to go to our website, Haley Marketing, and check out the job board. It'll also give you a good frame of reference to compare over your existing way that you display jobs. Make sure that keywords are early in your page titles and URL, include a salary range. Oftentimes if your you're looking to fill a position, it might go by a few different names. You know, position title might not be how somebody searches for a job. So think about that. And if that's the case, you may want to list one job a few different times. And then stay up to date with something called Google for Jobs. This could be a biggie coming up in the next few months or year. Google is rolling out a way for people to search for jobs more easily right in Google. So look for new updates in Google for Jobs to learn more about that. Get active on social media. I want you to build a strong following and continue to build that. Claim local listings, share content, encourage engagement, and drive traffic back to your website. Positive reviews or user-generated content is very important. And not only do people look at it to decide what staffing agency they're going to work with, but search engines look at it for relevancy. So build more online reviews, and people that you've placed on assignment, get them to leave a review for you. Get mobile. Again, more people now are using mobile and tablets than desktop. More searches are being done on mobile devices. If your site isn't mobile optimized, if it isn't responsive, you're over time not going to rank well in search results, and you're going to lose traffic and lose visitors. And get faster. I mentioned earlier Google's page speed test. Here it is here, page speed insights. So go to Google, type that in, enter your URL, see how your web host and your website performs. And to kind of wrap things up, additional resources. If you go to our website, haleymarketing.com, and you go to our Idea Lab or the freebies section of our site, there's just a ton of great information there. Use it as a resource. Now, throughout the presentation, we did have a ton of great questions come in. I'm going to stay on the line and answer all of those. But if you do have to leave and you have a question that you do want answered, feel free to submit that to our team here. We'll get back to you. So we're at 3 o'clock right on the dot. But again, we had a ton of great questions come in. So I'm going to go through these. I'll stay on the line here as long as it takes to get through all of these questions. And if you do have a question, feel free to use that question panel in the right-hand column of your sidebar. Ask that question, and hopefully we'll give you a great answer. All right. Let's see. A question came in from Stephanie. What if domains redirect to your website? I recently consolidated 10 separate websites into one and did 301 redirects for all the old web pages to the pages on the new site. Perfect, Stephanie. That's the exact right approach you should take. I mentioned earlier, when at all possible, stick with a domain name that has authority. But in some cases, if you're acquiring a company, consolidating companies, things like that, you're not going to want to stick with that old domain. So what you want to do is set up what they call 301 redirects, and it basically tells Google, hey, here's this old page, and I own this old site, and we're changing it to a new site. So if you're creating a new website with different URLs, or you're consolidating sites like that, set up those redirects, and you can tell Google when somebody types in xyzstaffing.com, instead of going there, it should now go to this new URL. So Stephanie, you did exactly the right thing. All right, another follow-up question. Earlier, the question was asked about misspellings in company name. How do you put misspellings on your website? What I might do is create a page deep into the About Us section that just talks and highlights some of the common misspellings. And it can be a simple page that's titled Common Misspellings of XYZ Staffing. And you might have a little bit of fun and say something like, people oftentimes misspell our name, but the good news is we're here to help regardless. And then you can have some fun and say, here are some of the most common misspellings that we've seen over the last year, and list some of those misspellings. So you can have a little bit of fun with that, but then at the end of that page, direct people over to find a job or place an order. But that might be an interesting way to get some of those misspellings into your actual site. Now, if they're close misspellings, Google's smart, RankBrain's smart, they're probably going to find your site regardless. Okay, but that might be an interesting way to get misspellings into your site. All right, another question came in from Amanda, and this is one we run into a lot. If you cover multiple markets, keyword and search term trends may vary. How do you optimize SEO for each market? Okay, great question. One of my favorite approaches here is to have a contact page that lists all of your different offices. Okay, list the address, everything. But then from there, create individual unique pages for each local market. Okay, if you want to rank well for staffing services in a variety of different cities, you're going to want to make sure that each of those cities, each of those offices has their own individual page. On that page, you're going to outline the services that that office offers. Sometimes different offices offer different services, sometimes they offer the same services, but adjust the content and the keywords on that page so that they're optimized for variances in keyword traffic in that local market. In some markets, they might use a term like employment agencies. Some markets, they might use temp agencies. That's why it's important to do your keyword research and use the term that's most appropriate for that market. From there, I would also create and claim Google business listings for each of those offices, and then make sure your citations, your business listings across the internet are consistent. And then once you do that, that's kind of the basis, the foundation. Once you do that, then I would begin writing blog content specific to each one of those markets. Some popular posts might be salary ranges for that market, might be top jobs in that market, might be people that you've just recently hired in the market, or temps that you've placed, or top candidate of the month in that market, top employee of the month. So think about ways that you can localize content and then get that up on your blog. If you do that consistently, you'll rank well in all 12 of those markets over time. Another question, can there be more than one H tag on a page? Yes, there can be more than one H tag, but you want a hierarchy there. So you want just one H1, so one main heading tag on your page, and then under that you can have H2s, H3s, H4s, and so on. But think of it as a hierarchy. So you want one main title, and then if you have a few bullet points that are all of equal relevance, you can make each one of those bullet points an H2. Okay, so you can have multiple H2s or multiple H3s, but what I would stick with is just one single H1 tag. All right. Another question came in. I came in late. Can I have the first 26 minutes in video? So sorry and thank you. You certainly can. We are recording this session. We will get this posted and up on lunchwithhaley.com so that you can see anything you missed, or if you want to share it with anyone, you certainly can too. Let's see. Another question came in when I was talking about content. Is blog content important, or is other content on your site important too? All of it is important. So when I say content, I'm referring to static content on your site. So content on pages like service pages, contact pages, employee pages. All of that content is important. So make sure that that's search optimized to start with, and then continue to add blog content, relevant content, etc. throughout your site. And then periodically what you want to do is go back to those static pages, those service pages and things like that, and tweak that content. If you're not ranking well for a given term, or you're not getting good traffic on that page, or that page has a higher bounce rate than you'd like, or people are leaving on that page, tweak it. Look for things that you can do to improve that page to get people to stick around longer or convert more. So look at analytics for all those things. Let's see, another great question that came in through Twitter. Susan has asked, are job listings considered content in terms of SEO? They sure are. And that's why it's so important to make sure that your job board resides on your domain. All too often, when I look at staffing company websites, their job board goes to their staffing software or somewhere else. It completely leaves their domain, and all of that great, rich content with all those strong job titles and cities and local information resides on somewhere else. Not good for SEO. So look at your job board, make sure all of that content resides on your domain. Look at the URL, make sure it's yourcompany.com. If it's not, fix it. Another term came out, just an FYI, Webmaster Tools is now called Search Console. It certainly is. Yeah, Google's always consistently changing things, and sometimes even me late to adapt. I've been calling it Webmaster Tools for so long, but now it's Search Console. So if you do go to Google and search Webmaster Tools, it'll still come up, but the name is Search Console. So sorry about that. And David, thank you so much for mentioning that. Will the slides be immediately available after the webinar? They sure are. They're available right now, and if you go to the chat area, you'll see a link, but otherwise you can just go to lunchwithhaley.com and you'll see the slides for this webinar. All right, another question came in. If I'm getting lots of visitors from different countries, how do I change that? Well, number one, it's adding more local content to your site. So you're not going to, I wouldn't encourage you to completely eliminate traffic from other countries. It might be relevant, but look at localized content. Then also look at the traffic that you are getting from those other countries and see if they're going to a specific place on your site. See if they're coming from a specific website. Sometimes what we find is that some strange job board aggregator in, India or somewhere else is pulling in your job feed, and then you're getting a lot of traffic that isn't relevant for you. If that's the case, then I would take a look at that, and in those cases you might want to do something about it to stop that traffic. But overall, look for ways to be more proactive about creating content from your geographic market. Let's see. Once we make changes to the back end of our website, how long should it take to see results to know that what we're doing is working? Great question, and I wish the answer was you should be able to look back until tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Google takes time, Bing takes time. It takes time to see improvements. What I would encourage you to do is, just like the stock market, you'll drive yourself crazy if you look every day. But what you want to do is maybe look every 2 to 4 weeks and compare that way. When you make a change to the back end, you're probably not going to see huge, massive results for 4 to 6 weeks, and in some cases a little bit longer. So what I would do is continually tweak, make updates, and get into doing this on an ongoing basis, because SEO never stops. I mentioned earlier there were 15 algorithm changes last year, probably be more than that this year. You need to stay up and current on this stuff and continue to update. So, I wish it was instantaneous. It's not. So after you make a change, again, probably 4 weeks, check in, see how it did, and then tweak some more things. Let's see, another question came in. We tried creating a Google Biz listings for different markets, and Google kept saying we already had a Google business page. Yeah, you may already have one. What you can do is, if one already exists, you can go out and claim it. In many cases, we work with companies where a former employee maybe created it with their own Google address. In that case, what you need to do is go through Google's process for re-verifying that page and taking control over it. It's long. Oftentimes Google doesn't get back to you right away, but just keep at it because it's important that you get that ownership there. All right, another great question came in. If a website out there is linking to your website that you don't want, how do you cut that link? Awesome question, Emily, and very relevant. So sometimes there's unreputable sites out there that'll link to you. There's spammers and black hat people out there that will link to you. So what you need to do in that case is do something called disavow a link. So D-I-S-A-V-O-W. And you disavow a link through Google's Search Console. So that's why it's important to set up that Search Console account, or as I referred to it earlier, the Webmaster account. In there you can disavow a link, and that pretty much tells Google, hey, this link isn't kosher. I don't want this link. Please don't associate this link with my site. So when you find those unscrupulous links or things that you really don't want associated with you, go through that process to disavow it. It's a pretty simple, easy process, but an important one. All right. With that said, I think that those are all the questions. Thank you, everyone who has stayed on the line. Hopefully you got some good answers and some good takeaways. If you do have questions, comments, concerns, reach out to us. We're happy to help in any way that we can. Next week, we will be doing a product demo in which we'll be going through our ongoing SEO services. So we'll walk through and show how we follow a lot of the approaches outlined in today's webinar. And then also be sure to join us for next month's Lunch with Haley, where we're going to focus on understanding marketing analytics. So we're going to look at Google Analytics and some other analytics platforms and really look at ways to turn your website and social and email marketing into sales and recruiting workhorses. So that's going to be happening on June 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. You can sign up for both of those, the SEO demo and our next Lunch with Haley at lunchwithhaley.com. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Again, I hope you got some great takeaways. I encourage you to sign up for our future events, and thank you.